Good morning, everyone. I am out here with the BCX today. Gonna see, you can see behind me there. I'm gonna see if I can start getting this thing sighted in. So this is their lower end scope, right? It's kind of the bottom of the line, what you get with the cheapest option of the BCX. But it is a speed ring scope. I'm new to that, so I have to try to figure it out. I'm not gonna bore you guys with all the details of how to set it up, but basically, you start around 420 feet per second, dial in your 20, which is that first one. And then obviously, as you move out, you adjust things. So we'll see how this goes. A lot of you guys probably know how to use these scopes better than me. So I'm sure there's other better videos out there. I will talk about my experience after I get it sighted in. But that is my first step here. I will be using the Hyper Flite bolts. I don't love them, but I really thought about it. I want to use headhunters, but without having a lighted knock, that could be a problem. So my brother actually took a shot at a deer out back here, and if we did not have a lighted knock, we would not have found that bolt. So there's just too many ferns, too many things. I am going to need a lighted knock because these are going to go right through a deer. So I have some that are, I don't know if you can see in there, they have the metal end, and I have some that are lighted. I'm saving a couple lighted, obviously, for hunting. So I am going to sight this in with the Hyper Flite bolts. Again, I don't love the Hyper Flite bolts, but at least you do get the 0.001 straightness, and you get a lighted knock, right? The plus with the lighted knock on these is that it does not click on as hard. It's not going to wear out the serving as much as the standard stock factory metal knock. That clips on pretty tight, guys. And if you have this bolt, make sure when you put that bolt in that it clicks. You need to hear that, otherwise you're damaging your bow. So I'm gonna shoot, get it sighted in, and then come back and talk a little bit more about what I think about the scope and things like that. So as you guys know, I love the Hyper Raptor, the BCX, and I've had my problems with it, right? My biggest problem with the whole Hyper Raptor setup or the BCX is these stinking Hyper Flite arrows, right? The lighted knocks work great, awesome, but this thing is so stuck in this target because of that collar. So your practice tip is a little bit bigger than the collar, which is a little bit bigger than the shaft of the arrow, which makes it so hard to pull these things out, right? This big shot target is supposed to be an easy 2-finger pull. I can't budge that. Like, that's stuck. So now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get that thing out of there, right? The one came out easy, but the second one didn't, right? So there's their target. I'll be shooting that in a little bit. That's my one complaint. Like, let's figure out how to get the half moon knocks to be lighted so that we can use those, right? Because these thinner diameter arrows, they're not the ticket, right? You don't, unless you want speed. If you want speed, there you go, right? That's what you're getting your speed from. And speed is great. But being able to pull your bolts out of targets is also great. And being able to use standard diameter bolts is great, which you can do, right? With the BCX, you can use those standard diameter bolts, but then you don't have a lighted knock. And that bums me out. Like, let's figure out how to get the BCX and the Hyper Raptor to have a lighted half moon knock. I know some of you guys have told me that you do use some. I don't want to void the warranty on it, right? If something happens, I want to be able to send it back and have it not be my fault for using the wrong knocks. So I'd really like to see them maybe spend some development with Luminot getting a half moon knock that works so we can use those headhunter bolts. So this isn't such a pain.
So I just wanted to give you a close-up of what I'm talking about there. You can see, sorry, let me move this here. You got a little lip there, and then another little lip there, right? So you're having to wiggle, and you wouldn't think that would be a big deal. But man,
When it sinks in those targets, guys, that is a big deal. And in the last video, I really was saying, yeah, I really want to use the headhunter bolts. Everything's just nicer. It's not clipping on the string. It's not wearing the serving. But I need those lighted knocks. So here I am using the Hyper Flites. And some of you might love them. I mean, it's a personal thing, guys. For me, I want to use the Headhunters, but I need the lighted knock, right? Here's a pretty good look at the lighted knock here in the shade. They're pretty bright, so that is a plus. And I used them last year, guys, and I found my bolts no problem. I don't like the thin diameter. I just don't. But I do suppose you weren't exactly watching this video to hear me complain about the bolt diameter, right? You're here to see me get it sighted in, or to talk about getting it sighted in. So I've taken 2 shots on that 20-yard target right there, and it's almost on. So a couple more shots, I think that will be pinpointed, and then I can work at farther distances, right? So we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to try something here too before the next few shots. I actually have Barnett's tips. I'm going to put those on there. You can see they're, here, let me get one out. They're more just a tapered, and the one I'm using is a little more sharp, and I think maybe that'll help pull them out. We'll see. So there you can see the difference. So I'm going to try these ones instead of these. I don't know if it'll make a huge difference, but we'll give it a go. So oddly enough, it did pull out a little easier using those tips instead. So I'm going to use those, and those are the ones they sent with it. So that's kind of on me, I guess. I just used some I had sitting around. So those seem to work a little better. I will use those. We are so close to being dialed at 20 yards, and then I'll move on a little further. So I felt myself kind of jerk on the second shot there. But, excuse my shadow. But there's my first shot at 20 yards. This was my second one. I felt myself jerk, guys. That one's on me, so I'll have to take a couple more and then move out. But I won't make you guys watch all that. I'll start sighting it in at farther distances and maybe show you guys a couple of the farther shots. I know you guys are interested in that and the accuracy, so I will do that. But after I sight it in, I don't want to bore you guys all too much with sighting it in. Obviously, that's just something that needs to be done. So right now I have about 15 shots through this, guys. I did take some before sighting it in completely just to fire it a couple times when I got it in those heavy winds, and so far everything looks good. So I'm at about 15 shots on the string, and by the end of this, I'll probably have 30, maybe even a little more than that. So we'll look at the string afterwards and just see how it's looking. All right, so I just took a shot at 30 yards, and it's a little to the left, so I'm just gonna tweak that adjustment just a little bit and hopefully keep going from there. So for those of you who are wondering, yes, Hyper Flite bolts are much easier to pull out of the Barnett hyperspeed target, okay? They just are. So still a little to the left, but I'm not gonna say it's 2-finger, guys, but you can see there, it's not a little tug and then it comes right out, right? So if you're shooting a Hyper Flite bolt, consider the hyperspeed target. Don't get me wrong, I love that big shot target, and any standard diameter bolt, that thing's the ticket. But if you're shooting the Hyper Raptor with the Hyper Flite bolts, you might want to think about picking up the hyperspeed target there, because it's not that expensive and it's way easier to pull them out. All right, so being new to a speed ring scope, I messed up my first sighting in at 20. So here we are. I'm fairly happy with that. Obviously it's not perfect, but that's pretty stinking good. That's gonna kill a deer, right? So I'm gonna try again at 30 and see how that goes, and then if it goes all right, I'll shoot a couple at 40. But I'm gonna be honest, guys, I know a lot of you love that speed ring scope. I'm struggling with it, and maybe that's just me, I know a lot of people really like them, and they say they're really accurate. I like the size of it, and the field of vision is really good. It's a beautiful scope. I just suck at the speed ring concept, I guess. So that's just me. If you know what you're doing, I think it's a super nice scope because you got a good field of vision. It's clear, it's illuminated, right? I'm just struggling today. This is my first time ever using one, but I want to be honest with you guys. I'm struggling. I know a fair amount, but this is one that kind of confuses me a little bit. So I'm set at 20. I'll shoot at 30 and just see, how it looks. I don't like to take shots much around 30 even. I try to stay 20 to 30 when I'm shooting a deer. So for me, being able to shoot 50 yards isn't that important, but it might be to some of you guys. So I'm trying to dial this in a little bit more. I do apologize that it's taking me a while, but that's all just part of it, right? So as far as the actual bow itself, string look good, cables look good. I'm probably more around 30 shots right now, guys, because I had 20 dialed in, tried to adjust 30, messed it up. So here we go again, right? But the bow looks good, it's shooting good. I'm just struggling with how to work a speed ring scope. So I guess don't use my advice on that one, maybe. I'm just struggling, guys. It's one of those days. All right, so I just shot at 30 yards. Looks like I finally got the speed right? Because speed is right. I'm a little to the left. Now that might be me pulling a little bit, but my other ones went a little to the left as well. So I think that might be something that I'm doing, kind of jerking, maybe a little. But I'm gonna take a few more shots and just see. Not sure if you guys can see that or not. There it is. So sorry about that, but you can see I'm just a little to the left. But as far as my height, I think I finally got the speed right. So I'm excited about that. So I'm gonna leave that in there, shoot a few more, and I'll have to call it a day today. But I think I finally have it figured out. Not my brightest day, I guess, but I'm gonna move a target to 40 yards, see how that goes, and just give you a few tips here to close out the video. So. Guys, I got it pinpointed at 20. 30 is okay, but I'm struggling with consistency from the bolts, and I don't know if that's me, the scope, or the bow. So I'm gonna have to do another video making sure that I'm sighted in good. But I did want to give you guys a couple tips. Okay, so first, when you go to cock this, just if you start with your handles right by each other like this, that's going to be the easiest. And then I just put that right in the rope hold, and then it's nice and even, just like that. All right, so as you pull up, something a lot of people are doing is they're not realizing that they're actually pulling that string off of the rail as they pull straight up. You kind of want to pull it along the rail. If you pull it up and off of that rail, you're adding extra stress on everything that you don't want to do. So I kind of push the bow forward and then lean back. Now your hands are almost in your pockets. It's kind of a nice little trick to know. And then another thing I want to show you guys here. You come in real close. Come in right here and look right here. A lot of you are scared how this gets stuck in here. What I do is I just use my thumbs and I push on the back right here. And if you look at that, your fingers never go in front of that string. So this first time sighting it in, at 20 guys, it's dialed. At 30, it's pretty good. When I get out past 30, I'm starting to notice that it kind of goes all over the place. Now for me, I don't like taking a shot at 40 yards anyways, right? That's not something I'm gonna do. So that's not a huge concern for me. And I think a lot of it might be me, right? I don't have a good holder for sighting this in, so I'm resting it on a sawhorse, guys. I changed my hold up and that seemed to help quite a bit. So I think a lot of the inconsistency is myself, right? Getting used to a bow that shoots so hard is part of that, and that's what practice does, right? So hopefully this video wasn't a complete waste of your time. I just wanted to show you guys just a few tips and tricks, and I'm gonna quick show you what the cables and stuff looks like after I'm at 50 shots. So you know, a lot of shots going through here. Once I fix the speed scope back again, I'm sighted in, I'm ready, I can go hunt. I just need to work on not jerking. That's on me. So thanks for coming and watching. Let's check out that cable before I go. And just to give you guys a little update, you know, 50 shots, this is what the BCX string's looking like. So here is a nice close-up of the string and the cables. I wanted to show you guys, you know, how it looks after 50 shots. The cables are good. The string is good. You know, checking right there in that groove. That's good. Checking in that groove, excuse the shadow. That's good as well. So the only thing I see that could possibly be, you know, something is that this just separated just a tiny little bit, but I've seen it worse on other bows for sure. I think the big thing is just take care of it. So I don't even do like every 10 shots. I'm waxing that about every 5 shots, guys. Put a little wax on there. It doesn't take that long. Put a little rail lube on there. That doesn't take long. Take care of your bow. It'll take care of you. All right, so I have to call it for today. My hands are just hurting too much. String, right? Held up great. I'm at 50 shots. String is great. Cables look good. Still love the way the thing feels in your hand. Love the way it shoots, guys. It's good to have it back. You know, it really is. The Hyper Flite Bolts, if you want a lighted knock, of course you have to use them, right? Because you can't have a half moon lighted knock. It breaks it according to their research. So I know some of you do use half moon lighted knocks that are different, and that's on you, right? I don't know how that affects the warranty. I'm not gonna suggest anything. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at with it, right? I'm gonna shoot it some more in a little bit, and obviously not today. I need to give my hands a rest, but I'm good from 20 to 30 yards, and I don't really know if I care if I can shoot much further than that. Some of you might, but I like the scope. It's really big, gathers a lot of light, good field of vision. And that's kind of what this was about, you know, my first time using that scope. So thanks for coming. Please like and subscribe, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.